Welcome back. I'm Maria from the Storyteller channel cast. We have returned to you the second part of the story, Darling But Enemy. We wish before we begin to ask you to subscribe to the channel to get you all new. We complete the second part of the story, Enemy But Darling, that has been liked by many of our esteemed visitors. Now enjoy the events of the second part of the story and wish you a pleasant listen. Enemy But Darling, Part 2. I couldn't bear the negativity that Jack dealt with, so he decided to follow my fate and tell my father my consent. When I went up to my room, I couldn't cry. I was angry at Jack and not at Jack and my love for him. It seems that I never liked him to grieve his parting, as much as he controlled me at this time. Liam actually treated me like a merchandise and chose me precisely because he wanted to avenge me my way with him every time we met. Even before the business meeting and my sister's wedding, I was avoiding talking to him because his reputation was not good in the market and he was known to be a visitor to women and to have a mistress everywhere he went. 2 days after my approval, we met. I don't deny that he was handsome. His skin is white with a light chin and a smile of confidence that you don't leave. Actually, if I didn't feel like him, he is handsome, intelligent, successful, charismatic and powerful, and all these things are great to be in one person. When I met him, he sat in front of me quietly. The meeting was in his office at his company and I decided to visit him there. I was always curious to see Nichols from within and the way it worked. His office was great and very similar to my taste and my choices. I liked the modern touch in it and his color choices. Well, you can visit me every day to enjoy the office, I replied. I didn't imagine that your taste was such sophistication. He asked me, why? I said sarcastically, maybe because your taste for talking didn't herald me any good. He smiled confidently and asked me directly, why did you agree with me, even though you had a relationship with Jack Hanks? I breathed deeply and replied, what I had with Jack was just a project and not complete, and you know that there are always projects that are incomplete, and when that happens, we don't stop too much, but we complete the road and embark on new projects. Smile. And I didn't speak, and I completed the question now for you. Why did you choose me? He answered me like he read what was going on in my head. I know you think maybe I chose you to take revenge on your way with me and your constant disregard for me. And in fact, I thought about revenge. I didn't get used to a girl doing it, but actually I also know that you are special, and I always like your ideas and choices. I even know that our tastes are close. How cocky is it? Keep talking. You might think now that I'm cocky, but I just know how to judge others and how to assess the people I deal with. You are different from all your daughters. The truth is different from all the girls I have known. It is a challenge for me, and I love the challenges. I didn't want to lengthen the conversation on this subject and I wanted to discuss it in a more serious matter. I said, I have one condition, and he replied eagerly, what is it? I can't give up my work. I've studied and worked to get to where I am and I can't give up all this. He replied ironically, you can't give up your work or your cousin? I got angry and I went standing. I don't let you talk to me like that. And I made sure that as long as I agreed to associate with you, that means I don't have a single love shell for anyone else. I didn't wait for his answer and I got out of the office and the company and went to my car. I spent more than an hour driving without a specific destination when I heard my phone sound. When I answered, a strange voice I didn't know came, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. I deeply apologize for what you said, and I hope you forgive me. Liam was apologizing to me for what had happened earlier in his office. I don't know why, but I felt sincere in his apology. I said, okay, it's okay, but don't repeat this method with me. I decided to relate to you because I see you as a strong man who knows what he wants and demands. A little silence, and then I find whoever knocks on the glass of my car. When I looked at him next to me, well, I couldn't keep up my laughs. He told me that he came right out of the company and was walking right behind me. He asked me to leave my car for the driver and he would bring it home and go in his car with him. I don't know why I agreed to it. We had a weird day full of things I do for the first time. I was always locked in my office and our companies, and this was one of the few times I gave up my office for a little fun. Liam told me he wanted to speed up the marriage process. He didn't want anything, and he didn't need anything. I was worried. Although it sounds good, I spent many years considering it my enemy, and I don't now imagine it as a husband. But Liam seems to have already arranged everything with my father. Just 2 weeks later, I set my marriage date. During this time I set my relationship with Jack perfectly, and all our conversations were limited to work only. In fact, I felt angry at him and despised of his negative attitude, even though he no longer cared about me. Liam told me that he's not a fan of big parties and that he prefers a little wedding. And we actually got married in a little ceremony after writing the book, and we set off on Nichols Palace. The whole Nichols family lived in the same palace that I could not describe its magnitude and magnificence. It was terrifying to me, as if I were going to live in the enemy camp. And I didn't think Liam's mother and other cousin greeted me with a murderous cold and with hostile glances as if I had been criminalized against them. Liam noticed it and told me that things were going to get better. The most welcoming person was Liam's eldest uncle, who always told me that I was the pigeon of peace between Hanks and Nichols. It's been a whole week since we got married and I'm still terrified and afraid that Liam will get close to me. In fact, he appreciated how I felt, but there was a lot of pressure on him from every direction, especially since the anger with his mother increased a lot when I started from the third day after the wedding to go down to my job. She was staring at me with abnormal glances of malice, and I was avoiding looking directly at her eye. On the 7th day after our marriage, she and Liam's cousin started whispering about me, and I was ignoring it and going up to my room. I felt like it was affecting Liam and straining him. On the 10th day he couldn't bear them any longer, and he told me we were leaving the palace. We already left the palace and I didn't know where, but he went to a very small but intimate apartment, too. When we arrived, I asked him, how many girls came into this apartment before me? He laughed so hard. Believe me, you're the first girl to come into this apartment. I didn't believe him, but his slave approach to me seems to be removing all the barriers between us. I started attracting to his paper and getting used to his existence, getting used to our conversations together and to our laughs and our very bad eating habits. I never thought I would fall for my enemy and turn into my lover, but it seems that minimum and destiny have judgments. I knew I loved him the day they told me at the company that he had been shot. I couldn't bear the idea and I felt the blood boiling in my mind and I blew to the company's headquarters. I almost ran over 3 people on my way, and when I arrived I found blood on the stairs leading to the company. I didn't bear my feet and I fell sitting in my place. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't cry. I couldn't shout. I couldn't move. Thankfully, Liam's brother was looking out the window and saw me, sending Liam to assure me. I was sitting next to the blood in shock and thinking about all the bad odds. When I felt my hand hanging me from the back, I began to absorb what was happening. It's him, his smell and the sound of his breath, after a quick annexation stood in front of me. I couldn't believe what I saw. I couldn't get up. He approached me and took me in his arms. I threw him in his arms and for the first time I could cry. I couldn't leave him and I couldn't understand what happened. He told me it was the blood of the driver who was shot in the shoulder and taken to the hospital. And that he did not hurt anything. It was clearly an attempt to frighten him only. End of the second part of our story. We meet again in the third part. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to get you all new.